Thank y'all. Thank y'all. It's, I don't know about y'all, but you sit out here and you listen to Rod, you listen to Phil, and you start thinking, man, we got something going here, and we do in Mississippi. And it's a great message that they're giving. I want to start by telling you a little story that happened to me. When I had my grandchild, one of my grandchildren was with me, so I stubbed my toe and cut it a little bit. So I was sitting there, and Carson came in, and I took a Band-Aid, and I got my Band-Aid out, and just like the other ones of us that are in this room, I ripped it from the side, and I ripped it from the other side, and I couldn't get it out. So I pulled it down, and then I said, well, this one's all broke, and I throw it on the ground, picked up another one. She's standing there watching me. And so I tried another one. I tried it from the side, and I couldn't get the sticky right and everything like that, and she's still watching me. She goes over, and she takes the Band-Aid out. She comes over to me, she says, Dees, that's my grandfather's name. She says, Dees, it says right here, you just pull down from the top. She pulled down from the top and handed me my Band-Aid. And I said to her, I said, Carson, I love you, and I am so glad you're not old enough to run for Secretary of State. Sometimes we just need to read the directions. And that's what I want to talk about today. The last couple of years, the last year, we've been active. Those on the Gulf Coast, it's great to see Mr. Slogle here today and things they've done. We acquired Cat Island about 2 months ago. It took 4 years to do it. We didn't pay anything for it. It was deeded to the state of Mississippi. It's a great resource to go with Deer Island down there, and 31,000 acres that Secretary Clark and I have acquired over a few years for Mississippi Gulf Coast. That'll be there in perpetuity. It'll be there for my grandchildren. It'll be there for your children. I hope you'll go and enjoy it. And he's right, Blake's right. We did have Y'all Business. If you haven't looked on the website, your competition is. Y'all Business analyzes every county, not only the census data, but it analyzes all of the other data, the consumer data. They can tell you how many people drink bottled water. They can tell you where the banks are, Jerry. They can tell you everything you want to know about a county, and it's free. No other state has anything like it. Our state Secretary of State website now, when I started, got 2 million hits. This year has 12 million hits on it. And we're steady selling Mississippi every time we can. You'd be surprised, tens of thousands of people are looking at you and looking at each of your counties and determining whether they want to go do business there. And it's got great information on there. I mean, how to use an iPad, it just structures everything you need on it. So we're real pleased to Y'all Business. Y'all did something else this year. Phil, was good to announce his stuff, but in November you had an election for President of the United States. 99.9% of you showed up with an ID. We never got sued over voter ID in Mississippi. We implemented it because you did it right. A lot of us worked hard on it, but 1.2 million of you showed up with an ID. And another interesting thing that happened in that, there were no federal observers, no federal monitors in Mississippi this year. Yes, sir. 28 states had federal monitors come to them because there may be racial discrimination. Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, 28 states, but not Mississippi. What a historical day for us, 200 years later, for us to have that kind of participation, that we trusted each other. And that's the recipe that Mississippi is going to build on. That's where we're going. That's what you'll use to go and address all the issues, transportation issues, tax issues, economic issues. They'll all be that recipe, that collective intellect like we have is what makes us go. That's what makes you go, and that's why you're here today. A couple of things that we're going over at the Capitol, working on a new PID law, Public Improvement District law, that we've had great troubles with that. Many of them have gone bankrupt. They eschewed back to the state of Mississippi, caused great problems. So we're advancing a new Public Improvement District law. We've got some laws that we proposed 2 years ago. We'll be proposing again where we take offshore money and bring it back to Mississippi to help and drive investment in Mississippi. That hasn't been done in other states. It's a good chance for us to do that because the President of the United States, the new President-elect, is fixing to come up with tax benefits to bring $1 trillion back into the United States. We want to bring them back to Mississippi. In addition to that, we've got some legislation on vulnerable adults. For years, and Blake was right, we do charities and we do securities, and as you know, if you read the paper, we had a $5 million claim against a national securities company that we collected this year. But when we look at that, we see our population aging more and more dollars there, more dollars to invest, stock market is up, that kind of thing, and we find our vulnerable adults being preyed upon. That's what we did in November in the settlement decisions that you saw from us. So the new statute will allow those individuals to again come to us, come to the Attorney General, come to the Secretary of State, and outline why they think they ought not have this money moved from a vulnerable adult to somebody overseas or somebody that it shouldn't be. New statutes that we need to talk about. Election reform, y'all, we did good last year. The legislature was good to us on criminal matters. They were good to us on allow us to change your address by going online. We've already implemented all of that. We're the most automated Secretary of State in the country. We don't take paper anymore. It saved us about $200,000 a year in mail-outs. But as they look at all of that, we haven't completed everything. There are two parts that we'll be working on this year. First is the election code itself, and there's a lot of operations in there that bore you to tears, but staggering election commissioners, making sure that every person that works in that polling booth has been trained to be there. Those kind of things that make the system go well are in our election reform package. The second part is campaign finance reform. We proposed that 2 years ago. We worked on it last year, got right to the end, and it died last day of the session. You have the right to know who made contributions to Delbert. You have the right to know who made contributions to everyone else. We have already set up the system now at the state where you can search this publicly. And we'll be working with the members of the legislature to file all their forms online. You'll be able to look everything up, and campaign finance reform is part of that. We don't need to hide the ball in Mississippi about who did what for what. It's all there and all should be disclosed. The last thing I want to talk to you real quickly about is this education thing. I'll tell you this about me. When people come up to me and they say, this is what's wrong with the government. Let me tell you what you did. Let me tell you what the government did wrong. And I say, did you vote? If they voted, I sit right there. I want to hear what they say. If they didn't vote, I ask them, write me a letter at the office. I'll read it when I'm at work. The same thing applies to education. The same thing applies to y'all. I went to Vicksburg. I've been 2 or 3 times. I'll be back 2 or 3 weeks from now again to go. I've sat in the little chairs in kindergarten. And one time, y'all, I was walking through, following the kindergarten grade through, and they're all just little bitties, and the teacher makes them get in a row. So I'm walking along. The last little girl looks back at me. She says, "You need to get in line." So I said, "Oh, yes, ma'am." So I got in line, and there were 18 little bitties and me walking through, and we went through the first part where people come to pick up their kids if they're sick or something. One guy turned to another and he said, "I don't think we have to worry about social promotion here. They got a 60-year-old man in the back here." They're doing something called Leader in Me, where each and every one of them, you open the door and speak to them, they shake your hands, look you in the eye, and say, I'm special. Each one of us is special. They're doing, this is one of 3 schools. They're doing another thing where they do robotics classes, and they're triggering back and forth with Hines Junior College, where they're teaching people have to take junior college classes in high school. Your workforce is not just in the 12th grade. Don't say there's something wrong with our schools. They're your schools. Don't write a letter. Go get involved. Teach somebody, sponsor somebody, have them come shadow you. Give your employee a day off to go work on the PTA. Read to somebody. Whatever you do will be helpful. And Phil is so right. When you look at it, your workforce is not just in the 12th grade, it's 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. It's when they're taking those steps to get that one more course at Hines Junior College or at Awamba. That's where they'll come to you. That's where your co-workers will be. And it's not just that. Remember about reading the directions? The fellow employees for my grandchildren and your children are in the 3rd grade, the 2nd grade, the 1st grade, yeah, kindergarten, and we need pre-K. Only 6% of the kids get pre-K, and when they take that, 1.5 times more likely to read in the 3rd grade. That's where we need to be. The leaders of tomorrow come from the leaders and are sculpted from the leaders of today. That's you. That's each one of you. So I would encourage you so much. Phil's done a great job on this. And our school systems are coming in, improving, working. I see it in Vicksburg. I want us to take that elsewhere. I encourage you so much to get involved on any level, whatever you feel comfortable with. It'll pay such dividends. I don't need to talk about dividends to y'all. Such dividends to you and to your children and to your grandchildren. We know what the directions are. We just need to read the directions, just like my grandchild told me. It's such an honor to be here today. I'm so pleased to have Blake invite me every time. We wouldn't do anything economically in Mississippi without people in this room. Your time, your talent, your golf tournaments, all the things you do, Robin, for the state of Mississippi, drive the economic engine and set the bar where we're going. And I appreciate each and every one of you. It's a great honor for me to be able to have any service for you. I've got to go back to the Capitol. They're already starting on my budget, so I got to go over there and talk to them. I got some meetings at 10:30 on things we're doing. It's a real honor to be with y'all. Have a great day. I'll see you at lunch after I get back. Thank you so much.